Afternoon, guys. I'm just going to do a quick video for you. I was in Edinburgh yesterday. I went to the Houses of Parliament um, with some of my fellow sovereigns of Scotland. We went there to lawfully um, lawfully raise awareness of the situation that's happening here. It's a very strange situation that we find ourselves in, that we can't even walk our own streets of our own land without being persecuted, without being followed, cameraed, videoed. There was lots of, we'll call them evil things going on yesterday. The police presence was unwarranted. My first impressions when I got to Holyrood, I counted dozens of meat wagons, dozens of them. There was a dozen or so in a car park, a dozen or so another street, um, and then also the corporate policy enforcers were out in force as well. Now, they were out for blood yesterday. I know there was only 2 arrests. I did witness one personally myself. I think Mandy got arrested as well. But they were out for blood yesterday, and they weren't taking any of our unalienable inherent rights as Scottish sovereigns at all. They were just out there to enforce policy of a government whom ultimately has no power over us. They are just a service corporation. Now, the quicker we get to realise this, the better for all of us in Scotland. Now, during the day, they tried to arrest me, they tried to intimidate me, they did get physical with me, but ultimately I stood my ground. I was very peaceful, calm. I dealt with them in the correct manner, because ultimately I don't want to give my details to anyone. I'm a very private man, I don't want to give my details out. So I explained that to them, and then they kept going down the legislation route. And as I was explaining who I was and what I stand for, they weren't taking any of it. They ultimately were asking for me to commit a fraud. They were asking me to give the details from the birth certificate. Now, guys, the details on the birth certificate are not yours. They aren't. They are Crown copyright property. Okay? When you give the details, you're committing fraud. How did I do it then? I explained to them that legislation is not law. And when they said, we're not going down that route today, if you don't give us details, you'll be arrested. Now, I can't afford to get arrested. I have family at home. They need me. So, I played the game, and I told them, the person that you require for your duties today, and then I gave the details. So I gave my name, date of birth, wanted to know where I was born, they wanted to know if I had a criminal record, things they already had on this daft phone that they've got in front of them. So they're asking me stupid questions, and they held me for a long time, a longer time than they should have. They were trying to intimidate me, they were trying to get me to react, but I didn't. I kept my cool, kept it in my head that I had to go home, right? And this is important. We've all got families. We need to protect them. So me ultimately going and getting arrested yesterday would have been a waste of time. So what I did, use the corporate name, under duress, and I explained that to them. It was under duress. Now we'll call him Robocop. Robocop. I'll get his number now. Robocop beat number CE21, and he had another Coco the Clown beside him as well, trying to tell me that legislation is law. I kindly put it across that it's not. I also reiterated to him I have contacted the government, and within the freedom of information request that I've got from them, they told me that the lie that is does not exist. He wasn't buying that either. He says, I'm not here to debate. I wasn't debating with him, I was educating him. The charade that they played went on for a wee while, so I'm just going to see, it's one of these tickets, right? So if you can see this, Scotland, right, one of these things. Now, I know a few of my comrades have got some of these, so this is what I'm doing this video for, is to help you. So again, it's just asking you, Antisocial Behaviour, etc. Act 2004. Again, it's an act, doesn't apply to me, applies to the person. So within that, details, location, Waverley Bridge, jurisdiction code 9278. They don't have jurisdiction over me either. So the offence particulars, this is what I wanted to tell you. Contravene to restriction or requirement in Schedules 1 to 5 and 7, contrary to Regulation 5.1 of the Health Protection, Coronavirus Restrictions and Requirements Local Level Scotland Regulations 2020. That's a mouthful. But, so ultimately, Robocop, advised me that I had to pay a £60 fine, or if I paid it within a certain amount of days, it was £30 fine. I said, I'll be doing none of that. This will be going to court. Right? I left it at that. He says, you'll be seeing me in court. I says, splendid. Absolutely splendid. But, and then on it, you'll obviously see I didn't sign it. It says, refused to sign it. I'm going to tell you how to deal with this, right? Because again, this is just a bit of paper. This is nothing, okay? Fines relate to person, just bits of paper, right? So, this is how we deal with it. So we give them this. It's a notice of conditional acceptance. Now within this, one of my colleagues down south gave me this particular one because I use a different notice of acceptance for different fines, that traffic fines, all the nonsense that you get. Any corporate servicing fine can be paid with a fixed penalty notice. But I've not had a Rona one yet, so this is my chance to send it to Robocop and Coco the Clown and let them deal with this. So I'm going to go through this a wee bit. So without reading the full one to you, all I have to do is, in fact, I'll read it out to you. So I conditionally accept that I will comply with the fixed penalty notice made upon the legal fiction or myself, the living man or woman, on evidential proof under common law that the demand is entirely lawful. Okay? Now, on that basis, I ask you to provide evidence of these 7 points. I'll just say the first one. Evidence that the SARS-CoV-2 virus has been proven without doubt to exist and has been isolated from a human subject using Koch's postulate standard. Done. Can't prove that one. Point 2. Evidence that the emergency lie laws and measures do not cause more harm to health than the purported virus. Evidence that it is not a crime ancillary to genocide to collaborate with government policy, remember that, policy, which has already resulted in hundreds of thousands of deaths in care homes and hospitals. We know it's a fact. Evidence that the government has not relied upon fraudulent data to frighten the population into fearful compliance with its legally enforceable diktats. Evidence that the PCR, the polymerase chain reaction testing, has a degree of accuracy to make it mathematically and statistically relevant. Evidence that the PCR tests are capable of diagnosing a disease, that a positive PCR test result means that an infection is present. And 7, evidence that the Health Protection Regulations Act, which I just read out to you there, which arose out, are not adjudged unto be repugnant and void of common law, which they are all acts. They're not law. Now, so this, and I'll show you how it's finished. But this fixed penalty notice is also a contravention to the Bill of Rights 1689, that no fines, forfeitures, cruel or unusual punishments are valid without due process. There's been no due process. It's clear that the penalty constitutes a cruel and disproportionate punishment. Now, that's that finished, and that's what they need to prove. Robocop and Coco the Clown. We know they can't do that. It's impossible because and then I go through again here. You finish off that they ultimately they have to prove this. There's a wee couple of sentences here at the end, kind of lawful sentences that I don't need to say these. Then all you do, me, the living man, the flesh and blood man, Thomas, signs it in blue ink, and I get 3 witnesses to sign it. What we do with that is, once you've printed it off, signed it in blue ink, got your 3 witnesses to sign it in blue ink, because that means the living. Black ink is for the dead. Okay, remember that. We send it back to the address that Robocop and Coco the Clown gave to me, and we wait diligently for I think it's 10 days or 7 days that I've given them a stop evacuations to prove this within 7 or 10 days, which I would love if they could prove it, because then we can all just forget about this and we can accept that we were wrong. Whereas we, the men and women that I am talking to, the men and women of Scotland, the sovereigns, and our brothers and sisters in England, Ireland, and Wales, yes, we can get on with this. But this applies to everybody. You just need to change. So I'll put on the rules and regulations for Scotland, but if you're in England, Ireland, or Wales, you just use their Coronavirus Act and put that on a piece of paper. Now, if anyone wants help to do this, if anyone yesterday, because I was speaking to a couple of ladies who got fines yesterday, contact me at anticorruptionscotland2020@gmail.com and I will forward you this letter, and then you just ping it through to Robocop and Coco the Clown's friends. Okay, guys. Thank you. Bye bye.